Oh, no.
Good evening, everybody. Due to yesterday's holiday, today is Tuesday, and this is February 21st, and this is a regular meeting of Moscow City Council. Gina.
Welcome again. This is our last meeting of February this year, but please stand with us and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good stuff. Next up on the agenda is our consent agenda, and this is made up of routine items or regular items that have been vetted by the Public Works and Finance or administrative committees already. Any item can be pulled at the request of any of the city council members for separate consideration.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Moved and seconded. All right, let's go back to randomness. Gina,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Julia,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
Okay, that goes great. That takes a bunch of items off. Next up, mayoral appointment, and tonight I have one, Jacqueline Walker for the Moscow Arts Commission expiring 12/31/23, and this is the county seat and college rep seat merged into one. Jacqueline, are you here any place? Would you like to come up and say a few words? So we can all, just pop up, say your name so we get it right for the record.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Walker, and I moved here from Spokane in 2021 to work on my master's in art and design. And I've just really appreciated how important the arts culture is to Moscow. So I'm excited to meet people in the community and gain a better understanding of how the city supports the arts culture. I love it.
Well, brilliant. We look forward to having you on the Arts Commission, and I know the Arts Commission welcomes you too.
Thank you.
So good luck with that wayward bunch. They are fun. They get a lot done. They do great work. So thank you so much.
Should we approve her?
Yes, we
Oh,
do.
yeah, do you need to move? Yeah. Do you need a motion? What
Yes,
do you
we
need?
need that after you've heard that.
I move we appoint Jacqueline. I was looking, do you need the date or anything, Lori? Jacqueline to the vacancy on the Moscow Arts Commission.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Maureen,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
Gina,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
Julia.
Aye.
Very good. And welcome.
Welcome aboard.
Yay. Okay, next up is public comment and mayor's response period for the next 15 minutes in 3-minute increments. If anybody wants to address the council on a topic of interest to them, pop up to the podium, give us your name and address, and for 3 minutes, tell us what's on your mind, as long as it's not on tonight's agenda or pending before Planning and Zoning or the Board of Adjustment. Any takers? Okay, nobody using elbows to get to the podium. We'll move right along. Next up is the Whitcomb report. Wendy Barrett. Tell us what's going on over at Whitcomb.
I'm sure this morning and last night was a really calm night.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Sensible.
This morning was actually kind of nice. It was weird. Anyway, good evening, everyone. I'm Wendy Barrett. I'm the director at Whitcomb. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Whitcomb, our history. I did get some questions, so I have those answers for you, Haley.
Thank you.
And let's see. Getting there. Okay, so Whitcomb is a public safety entering point for the region. We're located in Pullman over by Schweitzer. Every 911 call in Whitman County, Asotin County, and the city of Moscow comes into Whitcomb. If it needs to go elsewhere, we will transfer it. All 911 calls and emergency telephone calls for police, fire, and EMS are dispatched by Whitcomb. And Whitcom coordinates and dispatches all law enforcement and emergency services, including all the little volunteer fire departments and ambulances, and as well as the paid departments like in Pullman and Clarkston. So Whitcom consolidated in 1996 with Pullman, WSU, and Whitman County. And then we regionalized in 2004 with Moscow and Asotin County in Clarkston. So in all, it's about 55 agencies we dispatch for. And that, like I said, it includes the really tiny volunteer departments as well. So Whitcom is one of 3 PSAPs in the nation that cross the state boundaries. A lot of people ask, well, doesn't that make things really confusing? But it doesn't. It actually just helps. When we have road rages or traffic offenses, things like that, we can get the information out quick. And, we can notify Pullman, WSP, and Moscow all at the same time. So it works out really well. And it's weird when there's like big weather events. I know Pullman and Moscow aren't very far apart, but usually it happens in one city. Happens in Pullman, then Moscow's fine. When it happens in both places, we're really busy. So Whitcom is run by a board, the executive board, made up with our interlocal partners. WSU, it's Vicki Murray, the vice chancellor at WSU, Gary Jenkins, the WSU police chief, and for the city of Pullman, police chief Jake Opkenorth and fire chief Mike Heston, and for Whitman County, it's Sheriff Brett Myers and the county commissioner, or one of the county commissioners, Tom Handy. And then our contract partners are Moscow, and Chief Fry sits on the board, and Sultan County Commissioner Chris Subert sits on the board. We also have 2 ex officio members. It's City of Pullman City Supervisor and Whitman County Emergency Manager. So Whitcom is made up with me, the operations manager, who we just filled that position in January, and it's amazing. She was actually one of our dispatchers who worked for us for 12 years, and she left for 6 to raise her family, and she missed it and came back, and she's doing an amazing job.
Were you doing both roles until then?
Oh, I was doing all the roles. 3 supervisors, 17 dispatchers, IT manager, GIS mapping coordinator, financial services officer, and administrative assistant. And this is when we're full staff. Right now, we have 9 full-time dispatchers, 3 trainees, but that also counts, that doesn't count. Myself, the ops manager, and IT, we're all fully trained dispatchers, and we all cover shifts and cover hours on the floor. So we almost have 12 full-time dispatchers, but then we have 5 part-time dispatchers who used to be full-time, but they came back to help out part-time. And, some of them cover a lot of hours. Most of them just cover a few hours here and there on the weekends or in the evenings. But we're thankful for all of them. And then we also have 2 part-time call takers, one from Moscow PD officer and one from Pullman PD records. How to become a 911 dispatcher. It's quite a process. So we have a testing and hiring. There's 2 tests, 2 major tests that they have to take, including, in addition to typing tests, all dispatchers have to be able to type 50 words a minute is the corrected speed. We've tried lowering it, and the applicants have never been successful. So we keep it 50, and it usually works out the best for us. Training's about 6 months. Everything's on the job. We do send them to a few week-long trainings, but for the most part, they're on the floor with a trainer for 6-7 months usually. After that, they go into the mentee status, and that's where they've passed training, but they're still learning. I mean, I've been there 23 years and I'm still learning, but they're still, fine-tuning their skills, but they are on their own. And that's usually 4 to 6 months. And we keep them on a busier shift just so they, have more phone calls and not so much downtime. And then they're a full-fledged dispatcher. So we are staffing right now. We vary from 6 months to 26 years. So we have a wide variety. Only a few of us that have been there for, over 20 years. We have a lot of newer, younger dispatchers. Our highest priorities are customer service, responder safety, technical support, and citizen safety. One question that Haley had was about our technology upgrades, and our IT manager, Brendan, his basic goals are just to keep up with the rapidly changing technology, look at different software, things that could benefit our agencies, and just try to keep up with everything. So he's busy. So, another question was how WITCOM's able to talk to how WITCOM's able to talk to partners across 2 states and counties. And it's basically the big radio tower, but there's also hardware and wireless network infrastructure, as well as the wireless radio network system. Comtech is who we use for our 911 software, and they're the communication lines with a specific network designed for 911, so it always has priority. And if there's any issues, that kind of thing, usually they're the ones that handle that. So for landline 911 calls in the county, those go into Latah County. Okay. And then cell phones, it just depends on what cell tower they hit. We get quite a few calls for Latah County, but they're usually medical and fire calls. And sometimes Latah gets calls for us, and we just transfer, and we work well with them.
So does that, if it's okay, that was my logistics question, because I know I recently saw that Latah County had their poster listed also recruiting dispatchers. And I know we're all recruiting from a fairly small community. And as far as like the customer service question, I had in my mind, which is like, if I'm in Viola and I witness a car accident, but I'm on my cell phone and I call it in, I was trying to wrap my head around how that works. Like if I call 911, the tower may not know where to route. And it's strictly a logistical question, because I am so fascinated by this. But also in terms of if WITCOM ends up taking the call, WITCOM's not going to be like, please hold, we're not going to be able to help you in this emergency, right? So like,
well, your cell phone will hit the closest cell tower. And if it's an injury or unknown injury accident, we do dispatch medical and fire. We dispatch Moscow halfway to Potlatch, halfway to Troy, halfway to Genesee, halfway. Did I get it all? Anyway.
Yeah.
And so we're involved in a lot, but we also, we're talking to Latah County, we're talking to Idaho State Police, just depending on, what the incident is, who needs to be notified. So it's just everybody's talking to each other. And a lot of times Latah County does monitor
Gotcha.
what we're putting out. So we call them to let them know what's going on, and they already know.
Gotcha. So I love it.
So at WITCOM, we have 10 workstations. They're all multidisciplinary. They're the same. They have 6 monitors. You can dispatch sitting or standing. We do have a treadmill position as well, which is really nice. It doesn't get used that much, but it's really nice to have especially if you work in 10, 11, 12-hour shifts. To answer 911 and have to do CPR while you're on the treadmill. Thankfully, there's a quick, if you don't walk for 3 seconds, it automatically stops. So usually we just jump to the side rails and then we can continue on, and nobody knows. So it's nice, get to move a little bit extra. So what to know when you call 911? Know your location. That is the biggest thing. As long as we know your location, we can send all the help. If we don't know the location, obviously, we don't know where to send help to. Be prepared to answer questions. We work as a team, and help is being sent while we ask questions. You can't hear us when we're on the radio. So a lot of times people, like, hello, and we can hear you. We're getting help going. Gotcha. So, and don't be afraid to call 911, but please know your location. That's the biggest thing.
So what do you do if someone doesn't know their location?
We have tools. Sometimes usually where they're calling from will show up on our map, but not always. And so then if it doesn't, then we get into the questions, if it's, in town, what businesses do you see around you? If they're calling from a residence and they don't know, okay, is there a piece of mail? Can you go outside? Can you look at the front of the house or the business or whatever? If it's somebody driving from here to Pomeroy, okay, what state are you in? What highway are you on? What county are you in? And then we just narrow it down from there. So what will the dispatcher ask? Location or address of the incident, phone number. So in case we get disconnected, we can call you back. What are you reporting? Details of what you're reporting and getting reporting party information. The reporting party information is for the officer's report. A lot of people don't understand why we're getting that information, but that is for the officers.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah.
I've always just had this. It's like somebody's calling up with domestic violence and the spouse is like breaking in the door and they just start talking. And the next thing you know, they're no talking anymore. The question is, before they even get the address, can't you tell where they are somehow?
Not always. I mean, especially like if it's in an apartment complex, the more information you can give us, that's ideal. If it, somebody were a victim of domestic violence and they couldn't talk, we can, dispatch officers to the area. Well, it's plotting at this location. I just had one of those last week, and they were able to run license plates and, and listen and look around and they found where the incident was. So all of our medical and fire calls are processed through Priority Dispatch, and they're internationally used protocols that provide a structured situation-focused process to get the information, ask the appropriate questions, prioritize fire and rescue situations. So whether it's, we dispatch it as a emergency or non-emergency or an unknown situation, our agencies, they define how they respond based on the information that we provide them. It identifies threats to callers and responders, delivering necessary effective instructions to callers. We can walk callers through all kinds of various fire and emergency medical situations. And all dispatchers are emergency medical and emergency fire dispatch certified and trained. They are required to do monthly training. Everybody has to go through the 40-hour initial certification as well. The benefits of using the protocol is it reduces the variance between call takers, provides consistent call prioritization and response level, ensures the same level of service for all callers, and provides pre-arrival instructions when needed, and it enables our quality assurance and improvement program. So we have a couple dispatchers who review calls, make sure that we're following the protocol, and if something strange happened on a call or, the protocol wasn't followed exactly, they just give them feedback and just to help them so they can, hopefully learn and do better next time. Technology challenges. Everything in Whitcomb is recorded. We also share a records management system with all of our agencies. All of the major agencies, our little tiny fire departments like in Whitman County and that kind of thing. Most of them don't have Spillman, that's the name of our system, but most of our agencies do. It's a few hundred people that use our records management system. And, law has one module, fire and EMS has another module, dispatch has another module, but it's all tied together. So the mobile data computers in the vehicles and Next Gen 911. We receive text to 911. We've received text to 911 for a number of years, but we do not receive photos or videos. I don't know if we ever will. A lot of dispatchers get into it because they want to help people, but they don't want to see blood and, bad situations. So we'll see. There's software out there that's, some dispatch centers are starting to use that. If it comes into the 911 dispatch center, they can send it right out to patrol or the fire department. That may be something that we'll get in the future, but at the moment we don't have it. So,
Can I ask what's the use rate been for text 911?
it's pretty minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fair number of kids playing with.
I was going to ask if it ends up being.
Yeah, but we do have some legit, like domestic violence situations, that kind of thing, where it gets used, and it's an excellent tool. I'm so glad that we have that. So, is there volume anywhere? Okay, well, basically the video just says, call if you can, but if you can't, text 911. Oops. So these are just some stats from 2021 and 2022. We had significant increase in phone calls. Chief Fry. I don't know if it's all because of the Moscow incidents, but yeah, that's significant. And the dispatchers definitely noticed because we are short-staffed. That's just more phone calls. I mean, some of the dispatchers are taking like almost 1,500 phone calls a month. So
If I was a dispatcher, I'm not sure I'd ever want to call my grandma to wish her like Merry Christmas because I'd be on the phone all day for work. That's a lot of phone time. That's good for them.
So any questions?
I don't have any questions other than I was lucky enough to go through the Citizens Police Academy a couple years back, 20th class. And what we were shown was a lot of really kind of things that not many people see. But what scared me or impacted me the most, and scared me, I can say that, was what you as a dispatcher and what your staff does in order to save us and keep us where we're at. I was blown away. So thank you. I had no idea
Well,
what
thank
you
you.
do.
Yeah.
But also, good Lord, you're doing all of this with 12 people. It's a little scary to me. We need better recruitment or more recruitment, or that needs to be
Yeah.
the first thing out of everybody's mouth.
Yeah, and we're trying. Our board thankfully agreed to raise the starting pay 25% last year.
Good.
Because our dispatchers were getting paid. I mean, I'm not trying to talk down to anyone, but like a secretary who just answers the phone and handles easy things. Our dispatchers are working on life and death situations and getting paid less. And so that was something that near and dear to my heart, of course, because I've been doing it a lot of years, and it's been great. It's helped us retain some dispatchers, but we still need a lot more. And we share on our social media. We ask our agencies to share, talk to people, and send people our way, anything. But it's still, we get very few applications. I think the big thing is the typing. But I've been testing every 2 to 3 weeks, and sometimes no one shows up. Sometimes 1 or 2 show up. So
Signed up that they don't come
yeah,
follow through.
yeah,
I think the difference is that this isn't, and it's going to sound a little crazy here, but it's not a job per se. It's a calling, and it's a bigger deal. And 50 words a minute, I'm not sure I could crack out 50 words a minute. I'm not sure. It would be a lot of editing, going back to make sure that I spelled the correct way. But I think that I can understand, I commiserate, and I can understand why. But there is no, well, other than mothering and teaching, there is no more important job in my mind. So
thank you.
yeah.
We do try to, get across to people that it's a career. It's not just a stepping stone to be a police officer or firefighter. It's a career. It's a serious job, and not everybody can do it. So if you know anybody, send them to the City of Pullman website. Anybody else?
I just want to say, so my day job, I'm a nurse in a big long-term care facility, so you probably recognize my voice. I call 911 all the time for good reason. But you guys are always super professional and helpful, and I just really, even though I do it all the time, I'm always kind of on heightened alert when I'm doing it, and I just appreciate your kind, helpful words on the other end of the phone.
Thank you.
So thank you.
I will pass your kind words on to all our staff. So it's, we're the heroes that sit in the dark, and, people forget about us. But so we don't get, thanks or kudos very often, but when we do, we try to make it a big deal and send it out to everybody and post it on the wall. And
Well, it is a big deal.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Wendy, for all you do.
And I was just going to clarify, like, I got excited once this came about. I had asked to have Whitcomb and Wendy come and visit with us because I think there was a contract renewal and unsung heroes. And so I also was thinking, if this is an avenue for us to be talking about recruiting and making sure that when you call 911, someone is on the other end. And it is yet another example of a really cool partnership scenario we have working so closely across state lines. You said one of 3 in the country that have.
it's last I heard. Yeah.
And between that and PBAC, there's been a lot of things that we've talked a lot about cross community.
And the airport.
Yeah. How could I forget the airport? Yeah. I mean, there's the list is pretty impressive. So thank you for what you're doing for our community. And I will email you. I heard recently there's a jobs fair, a trades jobs fair that someone in the community is arranging at the fairgrounds. Kurt, the painter's putting this on. So I'll be sure to send you the info because it'd be great if we can get a few more folks through training for you.
If anybody ever gets information like that for job fairs or anything like that, please email me.
I love it.
And thank you all. Moscow is an amazing partner. We love to work with them. Chief Fry is the best. So thank you all.
Thanks, Wendy.
You're welcome. Right, moving on. Item number 5, the 1912 Center Northeast Room, second floor naming proposal. David Schott, Jenny Kostroff.
Let's do this. Mayor Betke, members of council, thank you so much for having us tonight. It's my pleasure to welcome back Jenny Kostroff, Executive Director of Heart of the Arts. Jenny's been running the day-to-day operations of the 1912 Center since 2007 and is the sole full-time employee. Jenny loves old buildings and always has been attracted to spaces with character and history, and the 1912er is no exception to this. So with that, Jenny's going to be presenting the next 2 items on your agenda, and I will turn it over to her.
Thanks. Okay, so we're going to start. We've got 2 rooms to name officially, and y'all get to do the official things to make it happen. It's very exciting.
Did you bring fireworks?
I did not, because
Okay.
we are indoors, Sandra, and we take care of our facilities.
All right, I
Okay.
forgot.
Okay, so our first one tonight, there's a pointer. Oh, good. It even has instructions. I like this little thing. It's very smart. So we're going to start by talking about the Green Dragon Game Room. This is now the proposal for all of you tonight is to name it the Chin Lu Green Dragon Game Room. Green Dragon comes from the auspicious Mahjong tile, and the Mahjong players, when the game room was proposed, were very excited about it and were the first ones to donate towards the room's renovation, so with the concept that we would name it the Green Dragon Game Room. So then we got this really cool piece of furniture is what I will call it, but it's not really a piece of furniture. It's sort of a big installation. But this piece, this is the back bar that was actually along the side wall of the New Hong Kong and kitchen counter. And before that, the original was the Grill Cafe. And it was run by the Liu family and Chin family, like Leonard Chin and Claire married Leonard Chin and became Chin. So the Liu is the sister, Mary Liu, and Chin is Claire Chin. And the 2 of them together were very excited to discover that we had adopted this piece that was going to be disappeared when Worcester Pizza didn't want it downtown. Not speaking ill of Worcester Pizza, they just needed the room in the space. So it was one of those things where we said, hey, that looks like it belongs in the 1912 Center in terms of the color of the wood and the style. And so it was a very exciting opportunity. It was the old refrigerator unit. So all the doors down below they were the refrigerators. We took that big box that was refrigerating it out of it, and it didn't even have any coolant. I think it hadn't been in use as a refrigerator for quite some time. Kitchen counter was storing plates down below. So we turned it into game storage for the room. But when Claire discovered that we had saved this piece that was built in 1947 from the restaurant of her childhood, she was so excited. She said, we need to help with this room. So the Chin and Liu families together contributed $80,000 to name the room. And so this is a proposal before you this evening to make the name official, the Chin Liu Green Dragon Game Room. I am prepared with a sign. I am so confident that this is an excellent choice for all of you to make tonight, that I've brought my I'm going to go back to the building and put these up tonight because I am that type of person. So that's the first proposal. And I'm really excited to honor their legacy in town as pretty much the very first Asian influenced food that we had in Moscow. Claire's mother was the first graduate of now the Margaret Ritchie School, but as a home ec graduate of University of Idaho, and then got into the restaurant business. So it's a really big deal to maintain this piece of Moscow's history at the 1912 Center in a room of this name. So that's the first one for you.
So I moved to approve the naming, because we have to do it individually. Okay, I moved, approve the naming of the northeast room of the second floor of the 1912 Center, the Chin Liu Green Dragon Game Room.
Yes.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have one question. It's not
Please.
discussion. Tell us how they moved that in that room.
Oh, so if you go to our Facebook page, 1912 Center, look us up on Facebook, and you go to our videos, you can watch the top part of this bar get moved in by 15 men with much strength. And they brought it up from downtown on a flatbed trailer with people holding it coming up the street, kind of like moving a house, only it was not that big. But and then they came to the side door. We took out the mullion so the two doors could be open. They came up the stairs, wiggled it into the stairwell, took the doors off, and put it into this room. So it was quite epic. But I did film the top. I was more scared about the bottom, so I cringed, and in cringing, I pulled away my camera. So it wasn't a good video, the second one, but it all worked out beautifully. So, but it is videoed, and you can watch it for yourselves on Facebook. I mean, we could have done it as an entertainment, but I figured, we got to get through your agenda tonight because this is a potentially short meeting. Woo! So
Wait, so if I thought that it was better that the other room was the Green Dragon room, it would be horrible to move this, right?
this is never
Great. It's there. It is there.
again. It's never
Love
moving again. It is epically installed for the life of this building.
Northeast room it is. I love it.
Yes, sirree.
Anything else, counselors? Okay,
Is a
On to the next one.
no-brainer. Absolute
Oh,
no-brainer.
no, we got to vote on this one first.
got to vote. Julia,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Sandra,
Hi.
Drew,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
There you go. One new room is named.
One more to go.
Okay, next up is the 1912 Center Southwest second floor naming proposal. Kitty corner in the building.
Yes. So this one's really fun. This is currently being called the historic classroom, but this proposal in front of you is to name the second floor southwest room the Barr Family Historic Classroom. This is in honor of Steve Barr's family. Steve Barr is a regular at the building and a real supporter of learning, and his family was very involved in education here in Moscow, both at the University of Idaho and arts education. And so both of his parents and all of his siblings worked with education. And he wanted to give back to the community and make this historic classroom possible for us, and did an $80,000 contribution to support the naming of this space, but to also get it completed. And so the room is now done and houses a program that we call the Pen and Primer Project, where fourth grade students can come to the building during one of their school days and experience a day in the life of a 1913 fourth grader. So they actually have teachers who stay in character for their entire school day and walk them through a curriculum that's in a primer that we put together with primers from 1913. So we actually have arithmetic and calisthenics, and we even put in some pages from an old cookbook from 1913 so the kids could see some really wild recipes from back then. It's got handwriting practice in those primers, and they get to keep their book at the end of the day, take it home so that they can share with their family what they did that day. But they work with nib pens and they write with chalk on the chalkboard, and they march around the building doing their calisthenics, which none of them know what that word means. And at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, they sure do. And they learn everything from Roman numerals. They act out a play about the Star Spangled Banner. They do the Pledge of Allegiance, but it's different in 1913, and that throws them off because they say it the way we just said it tonight. And then the teachers act confused and say, "Students, you are not reading these words." And then they put their pointer stick up on the yardstick up on the board and point to the actual pledge from 1913, and the kids read along with it and realize how different it is today. It doesn't have the United States listed in it, among other things, so because it was designed as a pledge for any country to adopt, to just support their flag. So it's a very interesting experience for the kids. And so this classroom is super fun. Throughout the rest of the year, when it's not being used for the program, this room can be rented. The rental funds that are generated from the room will go back into paying for that program. So it is self-sustaining that way. And any fourth grade classroom, private, homeschool, public can attend and sign up to do that program. So starting again in the fall, we'll have that running from September through November. And then we sprinkle a few into January as needed based on like situations, which we did this year. But it was very successful. Kids have to wear a costume. I get to talk to them about how Oreos were invented in 1913. It's very good. They love it. But this is now what we would like to call the Barr Family Historic Classroom. And I have the plaque ready to go, just like the other one. I've been keeping these for a long time. I'm like ready to put them up. So I turn it over to you for any questions or a vote.
Gina.
I move that we approve naming the southwest room of the second floor of the 1912 Center the Barr Family Historic Classroom.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anything further?
Any big plot twists in renovating these two rooms?
A plot twist with what?
Electrical or anything?
Oh, this one, we put the lighting in to look like 1913. We do have real plugs in there. We thought about hiding them, but then we were like, yeah, no, we want to have it still serve modern
love it.
purposes as needed. So it's got electricity. But this building, the 1912 Center, was the first school in the district to have electricity in the building. So that's important for you to know. And so therefore, it's
hide
not as much of a stretch to have some plugs in the room. But yeah.
Fair enough.
Cool.
We love the enthusiasm.
Woo! I bring it back to you on April 3rd for my full-fledged presentation.
We can hardly wait.
I'll dress up. It'll be fun.
Maureen,
Aye.
Julia,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
Gina.
Aye.
There you go. Get out the adhesive.
Thank you
Stick 'em up.
kindly.
Put your signs up.
I'm going to put some signs up.
Okay, next up is Basin 87 General Provision Agreement Approval. Bill Belknap in good voice tonight.
We dare you to have as much enthusiasm.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
expecting
you might
a
have
lot.
stopped, Jenny.
Not tonight. Not tonight. A little under the weather. As the council's aware, the Idaho Department of Water Resources is currently processing adjudication of water rights within the Palouse River Basin, which is Basin 87. When they established general provisions governing that adjudication process, IDBR included a provision that water rights, both surface and groundwater, would be administered as connected sources of water in the Pouce River Basin. So they're viewing that as conjunctive management, that essentially one impacted the other. Prior research of the Pouce Aquifer Basin has revealed there's really no definitive or no significant connection between surface water bodies, which for us are largely Paradise Creek, South Fork Pouce River, and the aquifers that supply drinking water to City Moscow and other domestic wells within the basin. And there are some very, very thick clay layers that tend to separate the water-bearing basalt formations from the shallow surface water systems that exist within the basin. The city did file an objection to IDR's general provisions, and they have consented to the removal of this provision, indicated that it was unintentional. So the stand form agreement that's included in your package tonight between the city and state of Idaho will remove that connected source general provision, subject to the presiding judge's decisions through the adjudication. Staff has also prepared a resolution to record the council's approval of the agreement and authorizing our water rights legal counsel, Candace McHugh, to execute standard Form 5 on behalf of the city of Moscow. So with that, I'd be happy to try to answer any questions the council might have.
No questions? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'm trying to.
Go for it, Sandra. You're on.
I move that we approve the proposed standard Form 5 agreement and resolution authorizing Candace McHugh to execute the agreement on behalf of the city of Moscow.
Second.
Either one, doesn't matter.
Either or.
Go for it.
Go for Maureen.
All right.
There we go.
Why don't you like me, Mr. Mayor?
You'll get it next time. Okay,
I'll stop and wait for you.
okay. Maureen,
Aye.
Drew,
Aye.
Gina,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
and Julia.
Aye.
There we go. And that takes us to the end of the agenda, and we move on to city council reports. Haley,
I'm short. Both of mine got canceled for lack
What
of.
about your meetings?
I love it, spicy. Both of mine got canceled for lack of quorum, so it was a quiet couple of weeks. Yeah.
Drew,
Mine was also canceled as well. I'll have one at the end of the month though to report on, or next week to report on. So
we anxiously await what goes on. Sandra,
I had a Moscow Volunteer Fire Department meeting and things, I'm happy to report, we're just sort of smooth sailing at that meeting. So that was
Okay.
good. And then there was PBAC. I have to admit that I was all set to go and then got an emergency meeting, so I didn't go, but checked in. There's some changes on the horizon, but nothing earth shattering according to water. So stay tuned.
good. Julia,
Okay, I went to the Arts Commission, which was awesome, a great group to join. We talked about, again, all of the proposals that are out there, or RFPs that are out there for different things that area artists can submit their work to, like the vinyl wraps and the poster for the farmers market, and now the ITC Sculpture Garden RFP has come out. So lots of opportunities for local artists to show their work and also get a little bit of compensation. I sat in for Maureen at the Moscow Farmers Market Commission, which was another fun meeting, I have to say. And I found out that 2023 has 136 vendors signed up. 10 new agricultural vendors and 126 returning vendors. And then they also, here it is, have 72 vendors now vying for the 9 remaining spaces.
wow.
So, it's pretty exciting. And there, even though there's only 9 remaining spaces, Amanda thought that because sometimes some farmers come later and there's, even though there's 9 official spaces, there will probably be room for more people over time. Does that make sense? You know, they won't get there for the whole time, but they'll get there for part of the time. I also went to Transportation Commission. And then today I went to the county's meeting on affordable housing and the ability of, oh my gosh, manufactured home residents to form cooperatives and buy their own land and work together on that. So it was a very informative meeting as we have some upcoming rent hikes and changes in ownership for those manufactured home parks. So very useful. That's it.
Okay. I'm going to save the tree commission till last because
Well, sure.
it's pretty exciting. Historic Preservation Commission is this Thursday. So I'll be able to visit with you about it next council meeting. P&Z is canceled for Wednesday, so we don't have that. The Tree Commission is rocking and rolling as usual. I will say that the most exciting thing is that we're getting some T-shirts.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I might have 6 or 7 different colors made. They did a lot of work at the same time that we got all excited about the T-shirts. They're setting their goals for the next year. And so they are, and every one of them had an opinion about it. And it was awesome to see these people kind of all come together. They set their budget for next year. They talked about seedlings and the popularity of the seedlings that we hand out at Farmers Market. And so we upped the numbers, didn't we? Yeah. It's kind of exciting. And I think I already talked about which ones, right? We already talked about which seedlings we were going to bring. I'm looking at David Schott in the audience because he's kind of the ringleader of the circus that is the Tree Commission.
Free ringleader.
He is the happy ringleader. We talked about
I
it,
don't
right?
recall off the top of my head
Me
which
neither.
seedlings they
Me neither.
are, but I will know tomorrow.
Okay, and I can send it up. But it is, the cool part is we actually bumped the budget, and so we'll have more to give because I was at the very last farmer's market when we were handing out, the last of the poor little baby trees, and it's cold, and I think it was snowing sideways, and we're giving these little baby trees out. So I want to remind everybody too that when you take these trees, you need to plant them.
I've never had one take.
Yeah, anyway, so that's all for the, but we do have a cool class coming up in the spring. Conifers of Idaho.
Oh, cool.
Conifers are trees with pine or cones, for those that don't know that. So that's kind of exciting. And the teacher for that is Pam Brunsfeld, who is like the guru of trees on the planet. She is pretty awesome. So that'll be a fun one. They're also going to have a mulching class, which for those of us who kind of geek out on plants, mulching is a big deal. It's a good verb. So we like that.
I'm very mulch looking forward to that.
You're a mulch-tastic, are you, Haley? Okay, that's all. I appreciate you letting me indulge my.
When's Arbor Day?
It's April 22nd.
Last Friday of April.
Last Friday of April. April 28th is Arbor Day. And we're working on where we want to do our tree planting thing still, correct? Okay. David, like I said, he's the ringleader, man. I'm not always paying attention. So, okay.
Maureen?
Okay, I just attended the SEC meeting and they took nominations for the Mayor's Earth Day Awards. And so if people have recommendations, they give out a whole lot of different awards. And we heard that if there's 2 people vying for the same one, art is known to just divide it up and find a new name. So they create all kinds of names and people get lots of awards. And the high school is really working on trying to get one of the public schools to have it's a solar project, and they're working really hard on it. And so the student was talking about that, which I think is pretty interesting. And they're working with the Climate Action Plan Working Group, which they always are doing something.
Do they know what school yet?
Middle school. Cool. And they actually have a letter which they're sending to the school board and the administrators at the school trying to get that to happen. But the Climate Action Group has all kinds of ideas. And one that I thought, there's a bee summit next week. So if anybody's interested in attending the bee summit, it's next Wednesday and Thursday. And the other part that I think is interesting about that is they're also doing a workshop for contractors and developers, trying to educate them on climate action plan issues with respect to building and the incentives and what kind of incentives exist out there for that. And somebody else recommended that he was doing work at his house, and he said, well, how about having homeowners being able to come and merge so you could find a contractor who may in fact be interested in it, which I thought was a pretty interesting idea. And there was a recommendation, which I think is a great one, that they do training for people who own houses. And they're like, not today. I mean, they've got lots of projects. I mean, they had this huge list of different projects that they were working on, but they're really moving on it.
Nice.
We got 2 new members this time.
Ooh, right on.
Yeah. Oh, one more. I forgot last month. So every month I get a little note from Catherine Bonzo about what the film. And so the answer was the January plastic film number 2 and 4. They had 2,260 total pounds at the Moscow Recycling Center. And now in February, they have 2,320, even more this time, pounds of film for February. So they're still moving along there.
Solid ton a month.
There we go.
Pretty good. Wow.
Yeah.
For me, we had the Boris Symposium here.
Oh, I should
part
want
of
to
the
make one thing.
university.
I also, just one more thing. I attended that same thing the same one on mobile home parks. And so, which is near and dear to my heart, having spent 4 years litigating the Syringa mobile home park issue. I will just give you one piece of fact. Not only are they trying to get people to create communities, once you have that community, the owner of the park cannot sell that park without first giving notice to the people who are part of the co-op, which I thought was just fascinating. And so they're really working on that. So people may not know this, but 4 mobile home parks in Moscow were sold last year without anybody knowing it.
Wow.
And people are pretty surprised by it, and the costs are just skyrocketing up, and they got a 20-page lease. So that's a lot for people to do.
Seems a little excessive.
It's pretty restrictive, to tell you the truth, so there we go.
So anyway, U of I had Boris Symposium, had the former UN Commissioner on Human Rights there as their speaker, and that was a fine event. Also, the United Way had its annual fundraiser out at the fairgrounds, good event, and spoke at the Leadership Moscow group here in this room, along with Sandra, Haley, and Julia, who are here talking about city council stuff, and subsequently, Bill and the other 2 deputy city supervisors also spoke to that group about how government works in the city of Moscow. I had a fun time presenting the Martin Luther King Day Essay and Art Awards over at the 1912 Center to elementary, junior high, and high school students for their work in writing essays relative to human rights, plus the artwork that they produced. And that was a delightful event. Also, I had the pleasure of presenting a $100 check to the Russell School 3rd grade classes, because we had a Readers Becoming Leaders event where the mayor read a book about government to the 3rd graders. They filled out worksheets, sent them in to the organizing agency, the League of Idaho Cities, and one of the little worksheets was drawn, and that class got $100 from them. So the ceremony was awesome. And after I got done with that, it was off to the State of the City address, still out there on YouTube. So if you're having trouble sleeping or just want a little fun with ridicule, you can call that up and have a look at it. Moscow had its employee chili cook-off gathering, and there, sitting in that seat, is this year's winner right there. So 13 entries, and David Schott was it. So well done.
What was your secret?
Oh, don't tell us.
No, tell us.
Big news is they beat Amanda, who had been holding that award forever.
Yes, there was resounding accolades from the audience there. And of course, on Friday, every Friday, we have the Association of Idaho Cities Legislative Call, where we go over upcoming legislation that the Idaho cities may choose to weigh in this way or that way, or hold a neutral position. And anytime the legislature is in session, life is interesting. It's in mid-session right now, and the number of bills coming through are vast. So Staff, anything over there?
Nothing from staff this evening.
Can I
Brilliant.
ask a quick question for staff? Bill, I was just wondering how things were last night after the storm. I know my roof was pelted, and when I was driving to the airport at 3:30, lots of squally winds and snow and icky stuff going on.
I think we lost a swing set at Gormley Park. If I recall, we had a tree go down in Gormley. There were some branches around town, but not aware of any significant damage.
Thank you.
I was shocked.
Well, with the number of windstorms we've been getting, you'd think that anything that was going to fall has done fall.
Zombie falling
Yeah.
over?
Been tested already.
Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
You do.
And do I hear acclamation from everyone?
Yeah.
There you are. Thank you, everyone.